What's up, YouTube? In this video, as I gave you a little teaser, we're going to look at the FCC certification of the K-3 III. Has to do with the radio aspect of it, you know, like how much, I guess, radio waves it emits and things of that nature. However, the interesting thing is the display screen on the back of the camera. Some serious upgrades have happened here within the Pentax world. Like, serious upgrades. The full autofocus array, all the touchscreen areas and everything. And the whole user interface has been completely redesigned entirely. So yeah, they have put a lot of work into this. And on top of that, also going to be taking a quick look at the Pentax Product Story number 7 in regards to the shutter release button. We always look at things from the outside, you know, in regards to the shape of the grip and other things that we can visually see that may or may not get us excited in regards to the new product. However, there's also the internal aspect, all the engineering and design changes from the inside of the camera that we can't even see, that will actually translate into a better experience when you're actually using the camera. So we're going to take a look at that as well. And I'll give you my thoughts as to what I think the K-3 III is really shaping out to be. You know, they do state it as an active field camera. To me, that basically means it is an all-purpose, high-speed, capable camera for when you're just out in the wilderness, doing your thing, be it landscape, wildlife, things like that. I know there's a lot of people that you know, are still mentioning the fact that since it does not have a touch screen, it's completely useless as a wildlife camera. However, the Canon 1DX Mark III does not have a tilt screen either. With that said, I'm pretty sure there's people who use it as a wildlife camera. No, it's just my thoughts of it. And plus, the 1DX Mark III is, I don't even remember, what, $6,000 or something insane, $9,000. Like, the price is just, I think that's Canadian dollars. But yeah, all right, let's just get into the FCC thing and take a look at the display on the back of the screen, as well as the Pentax Story number 7, which will be my State of Pentax number 9. Let's go! Okay, so in the product stories of new APS-C K-3 Mark III Volume 7, Wakashiro, he just basically introduces himself, mentions the K-3 Mark III was developed to be an active field camera, which I actually looked up what that even means. And Panasonic does have a camera that is called a field camera. And it's basically, the definition is just, it's a camera that is to be used outdoors and not in a studio setting. With that said, and they do state here, in previous APS-C format SLR models, such as the K-3 II, which would also include K3, K70, KPE, all that, we used a tactile switch in the shutter release mechanism to help reduce the size of the camera body. For the Pentax K-3 Mark III, however, we decided to use a leaf switch incorporating 3 leaf springs instead. It is the same type of switch that was already used in the 645Z and the K1. They went ahead and did this because they wanted to develop a shutter mechanism that provided a lighter, smoother shutter action, but one that also reduced the worry of unexpected accidental shutter releases. I guess it has to do with the tactile feel of the shutter button itself. So, you know, it'll minimize accidental shutter releases when you're just trying to acquire autofocus. And it states here they also wanted the shutter release action to provide an adequate amount of pressure and depth, but without the need to apply excessive force. They felt that this kind of mechanism would stabilize the camera at the moment of shutter release and also provide effortless holding down of the shutter release button during continuous shooting. 12 frames per second at 37 maximum exposures, which is what, 2.17843 seconds or something like that. Anyway, designing a compact body with a leaf switch mechanism required a thorough review of the camera's internal structure, because this mechanism requires a configuration in which one part connected to the shutter release button pushed another nail-shaped part to release the shutter. For the K-3 Mark III, they basically redesigned the whole internal mechanism. We decided to create a dent at the top of the nail-shaped part to reduce height. So basically, they put a divot in where the plunger part of the shutter release button itself pushes down into the nail area to actually activate that leaf spring. So because there is a divot in there, which you'll see in the images shortly, because there's a divot and it sits inside, it eliminates any ability for the shutter button itself to wobble around in its little housing area with the O-ring and all that stuff. For the K-3 III, we decided to create a dent at the top of the nail-shaped part to reduce height. By optimizing the shape of each part and adopting a number of small improvements such as this, we were able to develop a compact, dependable shutter mechanism, one that provides a smooth, pleasant shutter release action equal in operational comfort to the Pentax K1, while also minimizing the wobble of the shutter release button. So here you have the design of the K1 Mark II. So you can see this pink area here, that's the actual shutter button, and here in the yellow would be the plunger, and you can see it's completely flat. So these are two separate elements. So this can actually wobble back and forth, and so the shutter button isn't exactly super tight in regards to tactile feel. And if you look carefully, you'll see this is one of the leaf springs. So when this leaf spring here touches this one, it activates the autofocus, and then once both of these touch this yellow one, or green, or whatever color that is, once those two touch this, it activates the actual shutter release. Now you'll notice the shape on this is a little different than the shape on this one, because over here it goes up more, and it also looks like there's less space between the autofocus activation and the actual shutter release leaf spring in comparison to the K-3 Mark III. However, you will notice this plunger is wider and shorter, and it has that divot in there, so the shutter button itself cannot wobble around. So it should give a slightly more tactile feel, and this is what I was saying in the introduction to this video, is the fact that there's a lot of things that we don't actually think about, which would be the internal redesigns, in regards to continuous improvement. We always seem to, we're all visual people, we're all creatives, so we basically just look at the outside, and but we always forget the amount of attention to detail on all the things that we just take for granted. It's a shutter button, it works, but they felt they could always make an improvement on that as well. And they go on here that there's a totally redesigned mirror and shutter driving mechanism. They adopted a damper mechanism for the main mirror to absorb shocks, while also reducing the weight of the entire mirror mechanism to cut collision energy. This led us to achieve both high-speed mirror action and a reduction in the amount of mirror bounce. Now, there was a patent in regards to the mirror, and it looks like they made the mirror smaller somehow, but still able to cover the APS-C area within the sensor. So, with a smaller mirror, it's less volume to have to actually move back and forth to flip in and out of the way. So yes, they would be able to make it faster, and it would weigh less, and with the damping mechanism it would be less vibration. They also incorporated a new design in the drive and stop mechanism of the sub mirror to greatly reduce the time required for the sub mirror to move to the stop position. Let's see, they also selected highly responsive coreless motors to drive the mirror and shutter mechanisms, and programmed these motors to provide more precise control of mirror and shutter actions. Now this part I found interesting. We also incorporated optical sensors to more precisely monitor the position of the cam gears that were driven by the motors. Like, this almost sounds like they took ideas out of the automotive industry, having optical sensors like camshaft sensors. Like, that's really in a camera? That's crazy. This means that we can assure more accurate control of the start and stop points of these mechanisms while minimizing unwanted actions such as mirror bounce for improved high-speed operation of these mechanisms. Because of these improvements, we reduced the time required for a single picture-taking sequence to approximately 2/3 of that of the K-3 II. So that is a pretty drastic improvement. And Washikiro believes that this new highly developed drive mechanism greatly contributed to improved comfort in continuous shooting operation by increasing the continuous shooting speed and shortening the image disappearance time. Which that is actually a very good point. So, because every time the mirror moves, right, you can't see through the viewfinder. So if they can reduce that time, we'll see how that actually plays out in the real world when the camera comes out. At the same time, the Pentax K-3 Mark III's smooth, pleasant shutter release action, coupled with the satisfying feel you get when firing off an SLR camera shutter, justifies our passion for creating a camera that provides pleasure in every step of the photo shooting process. Of course, you had to mention that because that is what their the whole product stories thing is actually seemingly going on and on and on about, is the actual joy you would get from the full photographic experience. So now let's actually move on. Actually, sorry, I think before I said Washikiro, it's Wakashiro. Oh, yeah, terrible. So let's move on to the FCC thing, because I know that's what everyone's been waiting for. So, couple quick things here. I mean, it's not a full user manual, it's just in regards to the Wi-Fi and the wireless communications. So basically, you will have to rely on your cell phone for most of the functions in regards to the wireless, and it is confirmed now there is no built-in GPS. Geotagging will be done through your smartphone's location services. So here, so operating the camera with a communication device, you can do remote capture, image view, and time synchronization. This one I found interesting. So you can synchronize the time on the camera with the time on your phone. So, with the daylight savings time, and then you have to remember to go back into your camera's menu to change the time back to what, an hour before, and then next year an hour ahead. You don't have to do that anymore. Just synchronize it with your phone and it's done, because your phone always keeps accurate time from all the cell towers, right? So it will be relying on image sync, and if you haven't seen my video, I'm iffy about this. I really hope that they've improved image sync, because the experience I had with image sync, I mean, it's okay, but it's really not that great. It's really not. So hopefully there's a drastic improvement, in regards to how they implemented or have the camera working with image sync on the phone. And in regards to the smartphone link, which you can see here, store location info records the location information of the communication device in captured images. You can do auto image transfer. You can automatically reduce the size of the JPEGs so it'll transfer faster to your phone. And you can also do image transfer while the camera's off. So if you're in the middle of transferring photos and you shut off the camera, it will maintain enough power to continue finishing the transfer of the photos that you've selected. And then once those are transferred, then the camera will shut off. So that's actually a very good thing. I mean, there isn't really much else to go on in regards to that. Now, the package contents I found interesting as well. So, of course, you get a camera strap, but they're also going to be providing a viewfinder cap. Finally, all the Astro photographers. Oh, wait a minute. Astro. They usually want tilt screens for Astro, but this doesn't have a tilt screen. But I guess if you're on a tripod and image sync works well, you can just tether the phone and just use that. But it is nice that they're actually going to be providing the viewfinder cap. Finally. Man, it's about time you brought it back. You get the rechargeable lithium-ion battery, DLI 90, USB power adapter, power plug, USB cable, iUSB 166, mounted to the camera, iCup, FU. Okay, I'm sorry, that's kind of funny. You get the hot shoe cover, FK sync socket, 2P cap, body mount cap, K2. Huh. I wonder if that's a typo. And a battery grip terminal cover. And, I mean, the rest of it is pretty, it just goes on about the USB terminal, which is USB-C, cross-sync socket, HDMI terminal, Type D, microphone terminal, headphone terminal, USB 3.2 Gen 1, data transfer MTP, CD-ROM, battery recharge power supply to the camera when the dedicated AC adapter is used. Yeah, so let's see here. Dimensions: 134.5 millimeters by 103.5 millimeters for the height, and 73.5 millimeters deep. And it's about 820 grams, including the dedicated battery and an SD card. The body on its own is 735 grams. So it's about average for what we're already used to with APS-C flagship Pentax cameras and the usual temperature rating. So it's pretty much, you know, same weather sealing and everything. Well, here's the part everyone's really been waiting for. Everyone's been waiting for this. So here is the info screen on the back of the K-3 III. Now, at first I thought that these were sticky autofocus points, these black squares. However, I actually counted this all out, and it appears that there are gaps within these autofocus areas. All these black dots are not used as autofocus points. I wonder if these are on sensor exposure points, or however they're incorporating the whole 9 yards with the 101 autofocus points, because if I count it all out, including these black squares, it's 107 focus points. Once you eliminate these black squares, it's 101, and it's been confirmed that it is a 101 autofocus point camera. So interesting that there's these gaps here. I wonder how that's actually going to fare in the real world when the camera comes out. It is pretty spread out though, so that's a good thing. At least it appears to be pretty spread out. And I believe the gray squared autofocus points here that have the lighter gray square around the darker gray, or middle gray, those I believe are all the selectable points and the auto tracking points, and the rest of them are not selectable. They are just sticky points. And seeing as I think everyone forgets that this is a full touch screen, so with that said, I believe you can most likely touch here to change your settings for RAW to JPEG, turn your shake reduction on and off, lock your settings in place so you can't accidentally change anything, or unlock it. Here's the playback button, auto exposure lock, on and off, I guess, and change your metering mode. This I'm interested in how this works. Is this the tilt angle sensor? Skew? How? Not sure exactly how this is going to work, but I guess we'll have to wait until it actually comes out, and it does have the date and the time. As I said, you can synchronize that directly to your smartphone, and I'm not sure if this is actually going to be touchscreen in a touchscreen area as well, or if this is just the usual Pentax replication of what the button functions actually are. However, I do see that there are lines in a couple of these, so no self timer, and screen brightness looks like it's off. You've got your custom image settings, your auto white balance. So, overall, I mean, they've completely reworked this entire user interface. Some of it is a bit redundant. I'm assuming you can change these. These might be the special functions that you can change, actually, because it does have the information up here as well. Shake reduction is on. Your exposure settings, or your metering settings, same with these two. So I'm wondering if these are actually the special functions that you can turn on with the new button. And obviously it's in single autofocus mode, AFS, or sorry, single shot mode, and it's in AFS, and your autofocus hold status. This is nice. I like this. So at least you know what your autofocus hold status actually is while you're shooting, because sometimes you're shooting, it's wide open, there's nothing in the way, and you have the autofocus hold off, and then you forget, and then you're shooting, and there's a tree that ends up between you and whatever you're shooting in regards to wildlife, and all of a sudden the camera starts hunting because it can't hold that focus lock. So it is good to just have a quick status thing that actually allows you to see exactly what your autofocus hold status is while you're actually shooting. So I mean, overall, I mean, it looks like they have actually put a lot of work into this camera, and You know, I mean, again, the verdict is out until it is actually officially released. You know, but it is shaping up to be a very, very good camera, and I think there will be some surprises that we should be in store for. And that's pretty much it. If you like the video, leave a like. If you have not already, please do subscribe. It helps me out. If you'd like to support the channel, I leave that information at the bottom of the description. And if you have any questions, comments, leave them down below. And that's it. You will see and hear me on my next video. I'm out.